Hey guys, how's it going? This is Khan. The developers of The Division and The Division 2 during their E3 promotion have done a bit of a deep dive into some of the new and exciting things coming with The Division 2. This series of deep dive videos will feature Terry, Goat Horns Up, from Red Storm, and Frederick, the weapons guy, from Massive. Similar to the state of the games, they talk casually about a lot of new stuff, and I've decided to chop these topics up so that we can carefully and concisely look at what's coming in The Division 2. If you enjoy this format and these videos, be sure to hit the like button and let me know your thoughts on what's new in The Division 2. Alright guys, in this video we are going to be taking a look at weapons, some of the unconfirmed things that they're talking about with weapons, some of the things that we know, and we're also going to be looking at the good old tropes of Division 1. We're going to be looking at what's up with firearms, stamina, electronics, and DPS. There are some big changes that they're rolling out. Some of these things I'm not so sure a lot of people are going to agree with, but let's talk about this in today's video.
All of the regular weapons are brought over to this, but we have remade weapon handling from scratch for this game. I think anybody who's played the game can attest to that they feel different. But all of the weapon models that you know and love, in fact, everything that we see here today are things that we had in the first game, because whatever new stuff's coming in is not quite ready yet. Yep. So,
looking at the bonuses and all of that, firearms, stamina, electronics, is that still a thing, or no? It's all down to...
So if you think about electronics, right? Electronics gave skill power. So you had to understand that conversion. Mm-hmm. But it didn't really do anything in and of itself. So the point being, instead we give skill power. Right. And instead to give each piece like a baseline, it has this brand set, right? Like, oh, it's from this brand, so it gives me these things. And it actually ends up being much more varied, because every piece has electronics, firearms, and stamina in the first game, whereas here, every Sokolov concern brand has these stat bonuses, but another piece might have some other bonuses, right? So it gives a much wider breadth to the gear game. So I'm really happy with the way that works. It makes it approachable, but still so flexible and so deep. There's no magical DPS number going on.
And I think that's a huge thing too. I'm glad you brought it up, is that you're not just pushing that number. No. I want DPS up, plus up, you know. Right.
What we found is like it's really hard to make our ambition with DPS was to make a simple number that you could rely on if you didn't know much about guns and stuff like that. But the problem is, when you compare apples and oranges, when you compare a shotgun to a sniper rifle, and one has a little higher number and they pick that instead, it plays so differently that they might not actually perform well. So it's better to just look at the thing, go, here's how much damage it does, here's how fast it fires, how big its mag is, things that you can feel when you play the game. Right. And then you make the choice between them, right?
Yeah. Do I have potato aim or not?
Yeah. So
exactly.
So that's gone.
I always have potato aim.
Yeah, I do too.
That's an issue.
Potatoes.
I have to say that I'm great at it because I do the guns, but I have potato aim.
Okay. Well, we should start a clan called Potato.
Potato.
Yeah.
Or everybody's free to join.
I'm up for that.
Yeah. Or like.
You're saying we have clans?
I am. Good. We are on the deep dive for gear. We're going to confirm that we have clans. You knew that already, though. I mean, come on. You've been watching all the stuff, right? So, yeah, French fries or maybe potatoes and salt and potatoes. There you go. Salt and potatoes?
That works.
Come on, because salt.
Salty.
You see that?
That sounds great.
See what I did there?
All right, so now we have a little bit of a heads up. The weapons have totally been redone in terms of the handling. I think this is going to really change a lot of, what the game is. It's a loot shooter, and, it's a shooter, of course. So the way that the weapons handle, the guns, all of that stuff, being able to change that, have a totally different feel to it, even though it looks the same, is really going to impact how the game plays. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on this. If any of you guys know someone, or if you have actually gone to E3 and you checked it out, let me know in the comments down below. What did you think of the weapon handling? How much different is it? I'm really looking to kind of get a sense of that. Does it feel more weighty? Does it feel more floaty? Like, all of these things I think are really important to making sure that it feels right. If the guns don't feel right, I think a lot of people are going to be very, very disappointed with the game. Now, with that being said, with the changes to attachments, if you haven't seen that video, then I'll try and put a little pop-up somewhere. But with the changes to attachments being more geared towards making sure that the gun feels right, I think that a base weapon stripped down completely is going to be probably one of the worst feeling weapons that you can get. But as you put those modded attachments onto the weapons, they'll probably feel a little bit better. And then it'll all come down to personal skill. Some people will be able to control certain weapons better. Some people may be able to say, hey, I can't really control this weapon, let me put a little bit more stability. And then you'll have options with a little bit more range, or things like that. And I think that's going to help in some respects, but I really hope that it doesn't overshadow the overall gameplay and stopping people from actually enjoying the shooting in the game. Now, the next thing they talked about were, firearms, stamina, and electronics basically being kind of pushed away as an idea. I think that along with DPS, the ideas of, what the Division were when people decided to make a build or decided to use one piece of gear over another, it all came down to numbers. And I'm guilty of that myself. I could always look at something and say, hey, these numbers are better than these numbers, and especially in the beginning, and say, hey man, this gun has to be better because the DPS numbers are higher. But as they said, it's like sometimes it's like comparing apples to oranges. And even in the same classes, we had a lot of times where things just weren't really the same thing. If we looked at it really and truly, if you were talking about an assault rifle, the FAL was the highest damage, DPS weapon that there was. But when we really thought about it, it really didn't. It didn't perform that well. The handling wasn't that great. It was a burst fire. It just wasn't the best option that there was. And if you compared some of the damage numbers for a lot of weapons, and if you only looked at the DPS, a lot of times you were kind of leaning more towards something that really wasn't quite accurate. I remember when the Division 1 first came out, people were so hype about the Vector. They were like, oh, the Vector, the Vector, the Vector. But in my mind, I always liked the Navy MP5 because, one, it felt better to me. It had a bigger clip, and it was a bit more sustained damage. I could feel that I was able to kill enemies with one clip, or at least get them down pretty good with one clip. And with the Vector, because of the smaller clip, it just didn't really work. So I think that when people stop looking at damage numbers and stop looking at certain things from the Division 1, and we get our hands on things and be able to just say, hey, you know what, this works for me. This is what I like. This is how I like to play. These are the kinds of things I want to do while I play the game. I think that is really going to shape up what the Division 2 is about. And I think the developers really should focus on making sure that the game is polished, it feels good, and then make sure that that road of content is never ending and just keep streaming out. I'm going to give a big shout out to Monster Hunter for constantly putting out updates with new monsters, new things to do, new missions and stuff like that. And all of that is free. So I will say, if the Division 2 can follow something on that path where they keep bringing us, story content, keep bringing us new places or things to do, maybe new factions, new guns, new weapons, new stuff, just have a steady stream of new stuff throughout, the first year and a half, maybe even 2 years. Before we get into any DLCs. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some paid DLCs maybe around the 2-year mark. But as long as they can keep a steady stream of stuff coming out, I think the game will do well. And as long as it feels right, I think the game will be okay. I think that it'll be okay. But for right now, I haven't gotten my hands on it, so I'm not going to be too, hype about it. I mean, I am hype about it, but I really need to get my hands on it. So before I make any final judgments on it, I think all of us need to wait, get our hands on it, and see what they come up with in the next, I guess, 10 months to a year. All right, guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, all that other good stuff. I'm sure you guys have heard that all a million times on every other video. Thank you all for all of the support. There's one more video left in this series, so hopefully I can bang that out today, get it out to you, and let's keep the conversations going. That's what this channel is about. So let's talk more about The Division and any other games that you guys like to talk about, and leave your comments down below, and I will see you in the next video. Take it easy. I'm out. Peace.